Hello, here I am with another session on how can we assess and monitor the effectiveness of a laboratory quality management program. As I mentioned in the previous sessions, documentation is one thing, but monitoring the effectiveness of whatever you have documented and what you are trying to implement is also very, very important. Now, how do we assess and monitor the effectiveness? One of the ways in which we can do it is by doing internal audits. The second is by capturing the quality indicators. The third is by our proficiency testing. Then customer feedback is another way in which we can monitor the effectiveness. Management review is another way of ensuring. Then the corrective actions that one has taken will give you an idea. Then any non-conformances when identified, what was the action taken. So once you break it down into these six components, it's very easy for anybody to assess and monitor the effectiveness of a laboratory quality management program. So let's go in with what is the internal audits. Internal audits, remember, should be conducted only by a person who is trained to audit. For that, what does it mean by training? He should undergo a training as to how to conduct an audit. Anybody and everybody cannot become auditors. There is a pattern to which you systematically go about auditing. Now, that training has to be imparted to all the auditors. And second point, the auditor should not be from the same department. As I said, you're the accused, you cannot be the judge. They should be from another department. And thirdly, the audit should be focused on identifying areas for improvement. They should identify areas of improvement. They should also identify areas of non-compliance to what the standards say. All the processes, procedures, protocols, are they being maintained? Are they being maintained? So every bit of it is what they have to look into. And there are some criteria which auditors have to follow. So these criteria have to be met and they have to be properly trained. Only then can that internal audit be effective. Now, the next point, the quality indicators. Remember, quality indicators, when you start developing the key quality indicators, you should include the turnaround time, the error rates, the customer satisfaction, anything and everything related to the performance of the lab as your indicator. And only when you put all of them as indicators, whatever you feel is very important for patient report accuracy and turnaround time, those quality indicators should be monitored and reviewed on a regular basis. Only then can we ensure effectiveness of the quality program. So quality indicators are very, very important. Now coming to proficiency testing. We know that proficiency is the way to assess where we stand. And, and when we send our samples, we need to ensure that all our reports are in compliance and there's no warnings or no outliers. That is when we know that we have a system in place, and we also know that it is continually performing. So that is proficiency testing, and it is so important to know where we stand. Now, customer feedback. Anything to do with patients, anything to do with the management, anything to do with the clinicians, they're all our customers. Customer does not mean only the patient. Everybody are customers. So getting a feedback from them is very, very essential because they are the end users. They are the end users, and they will really tell us the right picture as to what they expected to what was delivered. Did we meet up to their expectations? That is very, very, very important. And when we meet up to their expectations, then we know that we we don't have to ask anybody for a feedback. That automatically comes out of that huge amount of gratitude because of the relief that they have encountered. So, laboratory that meets the customer satisfaction is on the top. Then comes management. If you need to grow, you need to have the management appreciating what you're doing and conducting reviews, conducting them, putting systems into place. You need to tell them let the management know what all you have put into place, what all actions you are taking, what are all the non compliances which were there, how you rectified it. This is a time when you need to tell them, make it as a show off. You are proud. You're proud of the fact of the how robust you have kept. Get all the clinicians' feedback and you challenge them that you send out a form, anonymous form, and you take the feedback. It doesn't have to be a feedback form that is doctored. That will have a huge impact. Walk in any time of the day. Challenge your people. Anytime you walk in, and if you find one test that is run without a QC being passed before that, this here is I myself will give myself a pink slip. That should be the level of confidence. Then, corrective actions. How you approach an incident, how you go and get into the bottom of it, how do you put it back on track, and then how you monitor whether it is still recurring, and how do you prevent these from occurring again is if you master that, the effectiveness of the program is super. So these are methods in which we can assess the effectiveness of the laboratory management program. And each one of it is very, very, very important. The way we go about it.